Welcome to Watch Symposium. I'm Austin. All right, I saw an interesting video, link in the description, of a watchmaker talking about Rolex movements, and he gives some insights into the naming schemes. And one thing that I like that he mentioned is the idea of a time-only watch as being a baseline. He likens it to a car. You know, a car is made to get a person from A to B, but you can opt for add-ons, power steering or power windows, and he likens complications to that. Complications like the date or an extra hour hand, even a rotor that allows for automatic winding. And I like conceptualizing a watch like that because you often hear people talk about being lost without the date and becoming fixated on functions and discounting watches because of the lack of functions. I tend to do that sometimes. But it's nice to think a watch in its most pure form is just one that tells the time. And I'm going to talk about two contemporary Rolexes that you can buy right now at the AD that are probably two of my favorite Rolexes. Now, you're probably surprised that I'm going to be talking about a time-only watch. I talk about the BLNR a lot, and many people probably think that's one of my favorite contemporary Rolexes, and I really do like it. But I've got reservations about it and issues with it. I think it deviates too much from the tool watch genre with those polished middle links, and it's a little too blingy for me. I want to like it more than I actually do like it. But these two watches that I want to talk about, the Explorer and the Air King, are aesthetically pretty much near perfect. I have no complaints about them aesthetically, and they're watches that I could imagine picking up. Now, I've got a no-date sub, so I've often told myself that I probably wouldn't go no-date again. But if I did, I would definitely consider these two watches. Now, I made a video talking about the Air King, and I kind of lambasted it. That was a video I made a couple months ago. And I've done a 180. I think that's a beautiful watch, really functional, really practical. A great starter Rolex, I mean, if you wanted to buy new. One thing that I didn't like about it when I made that initial video was the busyness of the dial. They have the 3, 6, 9 hour markers, but they also have the minute markers as well. 55 and 50 and yeah. If you can imagine cutting a watch face into quarters, the middle of the quarters, those minutes are on the dial. And from a practical standpoint, I've got to say, I think that's sort of clever and could be definitely useful. When you have a watch like a Submariner, those middle of the quarter minutes are sometimes hard to read. I've missed trains, you know, thinking a train is coming at 53 past the hour, and I have my bezel set to 58 or something like that, or you know, those middle numbers, and I've actually missed a train or two because of that. And having the actual minutes right there, I think, could be kind of practical. I was thinking that they might cause confusion because the hour markers, the 3, 6, and 9, are on the dial as well. But when you look at the dial, the 3, 6, and 9 hour markers, they're sort of raised. They sort of stand out, while the minutes, the 10 and the 5 and the 20 and the 25 and so forth, they're flatter and they sort of sink back into the dial. It's almost like a 3D effect. So I have no problems with that now. Again, I do like a clean, minimalist dial, but there's a real practicality there. Another great aspect of that watch is the two-color logo. Now that's kind of special. Now it's special because that's the only model they have it on, and I hope Rolex will just stick to that, because if they start doing that with other watches, some of the uniqueness is going to be lost, and I don't think I'll like it as much. But I like it because it's this watch only. It's a very similar watch to the Explorer, which is another one I really like. That is more of a minimalist dial. And while I always used to think I like the 36mm Explorers, I'm still on the fence. I really do think the older 36mm Explorers might be the way to go. But the new 39mm is also pretty nice. They lengthened the minute hand, which was a problem. And whereas the models, and this is, I don't want to mess up the reference number here, but I want to say 214270. Before, when it had the shorter minute hand, it had solid white gold 3, 6, and 9 hour markers. And I actually like the new one more, where it's not the solid gold numerals. It's got lume in there. So I really like the current one the best. Now, the interesting thing is to compare the two. And they're very similar. And they've got pretty much the same bracelets and the same power reserve, 48 hours. Sapphire crystal, of course. One is 40mm. That's the Air King, and 39 for the Explorer. Explorer. I keep wanting to say Explorer 2, but just the Explorer. And if you look at them side by side, you can see that the Air King does look a little bit rounder. It looks bigger. I don't know if that's just a photograph, but that 1mm seems to make a big difference. Now, there is, I think, one key difference. They each have one special feature that the other doesn't have, and that's anti-magnetic properties for the Air King. It's got pretty much the same anti-magnetic properties as a Milgauss. It's got the same movement, a 31-31 movement. So I want to say it's got a Faraday cage in there, which is amazing. In fact, I've got a friend of the channel who has one, and he also has a Submariner two-tone. And due to his work, the Submariner has actually gotten magnetized a few times. So the Air King's a perfect option for him. Now, when it comes to the Explorer, the sort of special superpower that it has is it's going to be more shock absorbent, a Paraflex shock absorber. So I guess it really comes down to what special power you want your time only watch to have. Now, aesthetically, I got to say they both have their advantages. I think they're both amazing, and I really don't have a preference. And if I were faced with the option, I really don't know which I would choose. I'll get back to that, but let me just say that as far as those sort of special abilities that these watches have, shock absorbance or anti-magnetic properties, I gotta say I tend to want to lean towards wanting the anti-magnetic property, but I've actually never had any problems with magnetization. It's one of the things that I fear the most, but I've never actually had a magnetized watch, so it's not a big deal. Whereas I have dropped this, and it speeded up 15 seconds a day. So I think probably I would choose the shock absorbing properties of the Explorer 2. But that's not to say that it would make me cavalier. I still would be really sensitive about shocks. But who knows? Maybe it could take the fall that this couldn't take. But if you've got a job where you're going to be exposed to magnetism, this is a great alternative to the Milgauss, which the Milgauss is another cool watch. I don't know how I feel about the Lightning second hand. Sometimes I love it. Sometimes I think it's a bit gimmicky. But yeah. Now, if I were faced with these two choices, I probably would lean towards the Explorer aesthetically. One of the big reasons is because I feel like it sort of fits me a bit more in that I can identify more with the Explorer versus a pilot. I mean, obviously, I've been on a plane a few times in my life, but I'm not a pilot, and so wearing the Air King, I don't think Rolex would not sell it to me, and I think they'd be happy if I bought it. But I feel like if you're a pilot and you love Rolexes, the Air King's the best. I mean, if you're a professional pilot, the Air King is a perfect choice. But if you're not, sure, it celebrates an aspect of Rolex's history, but I feel like in a way it's not meant for me. I might feel like I can't quite identify with the watch's personality, not being a pilot. Whereas with the Explorer, I can tromp around in the woods for an afternoon, and I feel like I've earned the right to wear that. Look, I think you can wear any watch you want, but some watches sort of have a personality and a character, and who knows? I'm probably overthinking it a bit. But let me know what you guys think. Of these two watches, which are you particular towards? I think they're both fantastic watches. And you know, in terms of buying new, they're pretty reasonably priced. They both have the 5mm at a time adjustable bracelet. They're incredibly similar. The movements are different. The Explorer has the 31-32 movement. Yeah, I wish I could tell you what that entails, but probably the Paraflex shock absorber is really what separates that from the 31 in the Air King with the anti-magnetic properties. But they both have the parachrome spring, and they're both going to run +2 or -2 a day. So anyway, let me know what you think. I think these are two awesome watches, and I've sort of seen that video, link in the description, sort of reignited my appreciation for the time-only watch. Thanks for watching. Take care. See you next time.